everyone, it is Brittany here and welcome back to my Color Guard YouTube channel. If you're wondering where I've been and you haven't seen my most recent video, I just explained that all of my videos on my Color Guard YouTube channel were actually made for my students when COVID happened, because we didn't really have any other option than to learn virtually. So I made all of these YouTube videos. I never expected them in a million years to gain any traction, but now that I've got a lot of comments and a lot of views on my videos saying that they've been very helpful in a lot of people's Color Guard journey, I'm going to try to make more whenever I have time. So today's video, I think a lot of you are going to be interested in, because I'm going to be talking about what are some tips that I learned auditioning for WGI and DCI that I think will be very helpful for those of you that haven't experienced that yet. I've also recently become a drum corps staff member. Go Pacific Crest. So I also know what the drum corps staff are also looking for from a staff perspective, but I've also been a member of both WGI and DCI, so I want to give you that perspective as well. So let's get into it. Tip number one is to make sure to put yourself out there on audition. I know that might sound a little silly, but when you're at an audition, it's really important to make sure you embrace the environment that's being provided and to also really showcase not only your skills, but yourself. A lot of the time in WGI and DCI, the staff are going to be spending a lot of time with you. So to make sure you're also seeming like a really intrigued learner is one thing, but also to make sure that you seem approachable and that you're having fun is also another great thing. And that might really seem silly, but as someone who's been to multiple auditions, and especially the ones I went to in high school, I really struggled to get out of my head, and I know I did not showcase my personality, much less the level of talent I wanted to, because I wasn't allowing myself to just have fun in the environment because I was just so stressed out and worried about everything. So I promise, if you just put on the top of your list to have fun and to really put yourself out there and make sure that other members, especially even staff members, if you feel like you're struggling, you can always be like, hey, what are some things I can work on? Because I can guarantee you no staff member is really going to look down on you for asking that, because that's a really important question, especially if you're newer to drum corps or newer to an organization. So step number one is don't be afraid to put yourself out there and make sure you're having fun. Step number two is to have confidence in everything you do, even if you're not feeling that confident. And that also might sound silly, but I can guarantee you, whenever you're watching someone spin, they can be one of the best spinners in the world, but if they are not performing or don't appear confident, they are not going to look nearly as good as the person next to them, who might be making a million mistakes, but at least they are selling to you what they want you to really look at. So even if you're struggling with a skill, whether it be in dance or equipment or whatever, choreography, it's really important to show the staff that not only you are willing to get better at those things, you are selling yourself while it's happening. So even if you make a mistake, don't make the face like, oh my gosh, I made a mistake. Because one, that might come off as a little mature, first of all, but second of all, they also want to see that you're really great at things like recovery and performance. So if you have that confidence to start with, even if you are struggling, they're always going to see you at that level of confidence that you're giving, not necessarily see all those mistakes that you're having if you're maintaining that air of confidence. So even if you're not 100% with what you're doing, really provide that confidence and you can fool anyone, I promise. Third tip is to know where you're auditioning and know the environment. It can be very different from place to place with things like technique, staff approach, all kinds of things. So if you really like a specific type of, let's say, choreography that you see from a certain group, like you see this group does really fun like tosses, or this group is really spinny, or this group does a lot of hard tricks, that's one thing about the environment that you can look at before you even audition. Another great thing is that you can always reach out to people who have marched there and ask them what the environment is like. Because honestly, as marching members, as much as we all love the places that we march, we're always going to be honest with you and be like, hey, if you're a first year, this might be a little hard of a place for you to go to for your first year. Or if you're not as great at this skill, I'm not sure if I'd recommend going to this place or this place. So not only are location of places like the drum corps, the independent, very important based to you on how you can get there and stuff, but the environment is very important as well, because I know so many people who have had the talent to spin certain places, but they left mid-season because they did not like the environment. So that's another big factor when you're auditioning for somewhere. Another huge tip if you're first starting out with WGI or drum corps is knowing the difference between the different performance levels or organizational levels. For independent, there is usually independent A, independent open, and independent world. And in DCI, there is just independent world and independent open. There's different things like DCA and such, but that would depend on where you live and location, all that stuff. But it's very important that you know the difference. I know plenty of people that have had their hopes on auditioning for a world-class group, but didn't necessarily have the skill set yet to get there, which is completely fine. Marching A and open is just as great as marching a world-class group. You'll just be doing a different set of skills, and the group just might be a different size. Same thing with drum corps. Open class corps have just as hard of choreography 99% of the time as world class corps, but there's just usually a different age range as well. That's another big thing in drum corps, is a lot of open class corps tend to be a little on the younger side, and a lot of world class corps, especially when you get to like finalist corps and such, they'll be a lot older on the membership side, because 99% of the time when they first started out their journey, they started an open class corps and then ended up going on else to somewhere else. So knowing what kind of organizational level you want to audition for is also very important if you're new to drum corps or WGI. Is a big part, at least from what I've experienced of auditioning, is also dependent on how you look physically, not necessarily your body type or any of that stuff, but how you present. So obviously I already talked about confidence and how that's a big part of it. Being able to spin well, another thing that adds to your kind of appeal as a performer, but also looking the part is a big part of it. If you show up to rehearsal and you're very attentive, you're lifted, you're confident in that manner, but you're also confident in what you're wearing and what you look like, that'll add another layer to what you're doing and another aspect that they can look for and say, that person is confident in what they're doing, they look confident, they're dressed confident. All that stuff is a really big factor, and it might seem small, but I really recommend having a couple cute athletic outfits that you feel confident in to kind of boost your own level going into the audition. I recommend bringing a couple hair products so that way you can do your hair or just have it in like a sleek ponytail. It doesn't have to be anything like crazy beautiful, just something to make you feel better about your audition. And if you're someone who wears makeup, no matter how you identify, I would wear makeup if that's something that makes you feel a little more confident on your final day of auditioning, because especially in those small groups or individual auditions, you want to feel your absolute best. So if you have a cute little outfit, I would save it for your last day of auditions. Get yourself a little 10 extra minutes in the morning. Make sure you feel really cute, because when we feel cute, we spin cute, all things are great. Last tip I have, and this is kind of related to what I said before, is do not be afraid to reach out to people who have been in the organization, staff members of the organization, or just anyone that has any information to really understand what you're getting yourself into. 99% of the time, those people will be very kind, as I've experienced, and they'll give you plenty of information. And if you are specific enough with your questions, they can probably also give you exact things you need to know for the auditions. On multiple auditions that I have gone to, I was a little hesitant, but I decided to reach out to people that had marched the organization and I knew were vets, and I asked them, hey, what are some skills that you guys usually do at auditions? Or what does a normal audition day normally look like? Is there any skills that you think I should really practice before I get to the audition? If I'm auditioning for this place, do I need to know how to do a split lead? Can I do a split lead? If I'm auditioning for this place and I want to get on their weapon line, do I need to know how to toss a 7? Can I toss a 7? Like, those are very big questions to ask, because you don't want to get blindsided at audition, have to learn a brand new skill or a brand new toss. And so with that, if they give you information like know this trick, know this toss, know this skill, practice that completely until you got it down, so that way it's in your back pocket. It's something you can pull out at the audition, and it's not going to be another source of anxiety for you. It'll be something that'll make you even more comfortable because you can already do it. And that's going to be my last tip. Alright, Alright you guys, that is it for today's video. If you have any more questions about auditioning for WGI or DCI, please put them down below and I will gladly answer them. And if you have any recommendations for future videos you want to see, like any skills or tips about other parts of color guard, feel free to also leave a comment about that. Okay, love you guys. Keep spinning.